sitting here thinking about fasting and why I'd want to do something like that in a world filled with endless passions, delicacies, donuts, Krispy Kreme, and Starbucks. Why would I want to deprive myself of things that taste so good to follow God? Well, we have to ask ourselves two questions and think about what fasting is. Fasting is turning off the world and all of its endless distractions so that we can draw nearer to God in our spirit. We do that by crucifying the flesh. That's what fasting does. We're taking our flesh and nailing it to the cross, putting it under our feet and saying, you're not the boss of me. I'm following my spirit through the Holy Spirit so that I can draw closer to God and get stronger in my spirit senses so we can hear the voice of God. So, question one, do I hunger for God like I hunger for that donut, for that plate of food? And question number two, how am I doing at submitting my total life to God? I mean, every area of your life. That would be your finances, that would be your marriage, that would mean your pleasure, the things you do when you're at work, when no one's watching. Have I given that all to God? And those are two things we want to ask ourselves completely and totally and continually, not just when we're fasting, but all the time. Because fasting is our response to who God is. Now, think about Daniel. He knew who God was. He and his boys were in a foreign land, and they were eating from the king's table, or something close to that. They had all the good stuff. But they said, we're not going to eat the king's food because we want to draw closer to God. We don't want to defile our bodies with food that we're not supposed to be eating anyway. Think pork chops. So Daniel said, I'm going to eat pulse, which is really lentils and beans, all made into a mash with water. And they ate that. And that was their response to who God is. Now, we're supposed to live our lives as sacrifices to God, but God gives us spirit senses when we draw near to him because he's done everything for us already. So remind yourself again of those two questions. What can I do for God by giving up my whole life to him? And how am I doing at drawing nearer to God through hunger? Do I hunger for him? Now, I'm just going to read this to you real quick. Can I read this to you? It's in Matthew chapter 6, and it's Jesus saying, moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites with a sad countenance. Now, what they would do is take ash, dip it in water, and paint it all over their faces. And they would stand on the corner with prayer beads and pray out loud so that everybody could hear them. But Jesus said, don't do that. Draw into your prayer closet, and I'll draw close to you. And the benefit is intimacy with me. Remember, two questions. Do you hunger for God? And how are you doing at submitting your total life